pipelines being probably the most basic form of project we do. Let's see if we can work through that workflow. Just bear with us. It's a big change. So we'll see what that looks like. Um, just kind of give a general lay of the land. We've talked a lot about pipelines, which I know sounds kind of nebulous. In general, any tax return project has basically four major stages. We get information from the client, whether that be books or documents or whatever. Uh, we do the prep work, we review it, we process it through a couple different steps, and then we file it. And then this out here is just project complete. So any return we do, we get information, we do our work, we make sure it's right, we get it to the client, and we file it. Okay, so we're going to create a new 1099 project for this client. These two clients, don't worry about the process of creating jobs just yet. All right, so I'm creating two new 1099 projects for these two clients. We've talked about roles. For this client, I have admin. I've got it set as Chelsea, me as the owner, Will as the preparer, and me as the reviewer. And let's see what it looks like on that other client. Who do I have set? Linda as the admin, Will as preparer, me as owner and reviewer. Okay, so coming back to this workflow, we'll start with tax prep. This is almost always going to be done by the preparer. So whoever is sitting in this seat. Review work is going to be done by the reviewer, whoever's sitting in this seat. Processing is going to be whoever's sitting in this seat, which is in an administrative capacity. We may split this out later. Now, this information gap in e-filing is probably, we might have to set a separate role for that. We'll unpack that later. Information gathering, this could vary by project. This could be something where the preparer is doing it. It could be where the partner is doing it. It could be where someone serving in an administrative capacity could do it. It could vary by client. But in this particular case, this is a preparer function. This is preparer, reviewer, admin, admin. This is the way this example is set up. Okay. I'm going to go to my Insights dashboard. Okay, I created those two jobs. You see that I have no jobs that are overdue, none that are approaching a deadline today or in a week, and none that have been sitting dormant for over a certain period of time. But I do have two jobs, and they are those two that I just created. If I want to look at it in a different view, in this same view, I have two jobs. They're both in this phase, the information gathering phase. All right. You'll also see that on my Insights dashboard, I've got the two jobs. On my Inbox Plus, okay, I don't have any to-dos yet. All right. On those jobs, let's open this one. This is the job card. This is essentially the page where the job is currently. The stage it's in is in the first step, which is the information gathering phase, and the task that has been created is info gathering. So let's open that task, job card, task card. Let's look at it in a different view. Let's go to tasks. Whoops, wrong thing. Go look at all tasks. I'm going to filter by Will. I think he's who was set as the preparer on that one. Okay, he has two tasks. If I was to look at his Insights dashboard here, he would show these two tasks under his to-do list. So they'll show up in my jobs because I'm involved in this project in some capacity. They're not going to show up in my tasks because the information gathering stage isn't assigned to me yet. It's assigned to Will. If Will logs in, he will also have these two jobs, but he doesn't have any tasks. Okay, but let's go to those tasks and let's work on this one. All right, the task is to gather necessary information. What we could do is we could either send the client an email, new email, hey, where's your stuff? You could just go to their QuickBooks file, open it, and start pulling in their 1099 list that way. And you can also use what is called a client request. That's what I'll do. All right, so I'm in this job, new client request, or I can always go to the green button, new client request. When I do that, I have to select the account. But if I'm in this job already, I go to new client request, it's going to pre-fill that client. Also, we just do this, clients, accounts. If I am in this client's information page, just clicked into that client with all these tabs at the top, if I hit new client request, it will refill it. It will pre-fill it, I mean. Same thing for email, note, task. If you're in that client's profile, for lack of a better term, in their page, it will pre-fill that information. All right, back to where I was. I'm on this. These are jobs. I'm on the job card. We're doing new client request. I imagine we will probably have some template prepared that for the things that we do over and over again. And you can make this where you're requesting a file upload. So I'm asking them to upload their 1099 list, and I can add a question. If I can make it where I request an upload, they just answer yes or no, choose from a drop down menu, or they can just type in something. That might be where, did you make any estimated payments, for example, in a 1040? There are a bunch of different types of requests. You can request a file, an answer, a description, a number. Uh, anyway, but right now, all I'm requesting is the 1099 list, and I'm requesting it as an upload. Do I want to require sign in or not? It's on this job. I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to set it to remind the client every 5 days and do it 5 times. And I can save it as a template if I want to. I'm going to send it. Okay, great. Now, this task, to gather necessary information, is not completed yet. It's in progress. We might have probably going to change that status to waiting for client. But this, when I save it as waiting for client, when I set the status as waiting for client, you'll notice, let's go to the pipeline view. It's still in this information gathering phase. If I were to change that, if I were here and I change this task to completed, only then will it move into the next phase. Or if I drag it here in the pipeline view, but don't worry about that. The fact that I changed it to waiting for client or whatever, any of these other statuses, it doesn't move anything in the pipeline. Okay, so let's go. I'm also logged in to the client view. So this other browser, this isn't logged in as a staff tax dome. This is a client logged in view, and they have a client request. Waiting for action, they have this. It's 1099 unless they want me to add a document. From my computer, 1099 list. I want to save it to client upload, documents folder 2024. Done. All right. I didn't hit submit. Okay, so now that should be completed. So if the client goes back to their page, again, I'm wearing my client hat right here. If I go home, that's done. And also, when I created that project, you'll see that it has a client facing status. So it shows them on the client side that, hey, your project is in progress. So they may have several different projects, but their 1099 is in progress. It's not ready. We haven't forgotten about it. There's no action required from them. Okay. So go back to this job card. That client request is completed. So gather necessary information, that is complete because I've gathered the information from the client. I could go in if I wanted to and look at it, see what they sent. Okay, the one 1099 they needs to this knucklehead for $1,000,000. Okay, great. So that project is complete. Awesome. Let's go back and look at it in pipeline view. If I refresh this, now that the information is complete, it moves over to tax prep. So again, I don't have any tasks related to this project set to me. I still have the job, but on Will's side, he probably has the projects. Tasks, task assignee, filter by Will. So on his side, he's going to have this client is in the gather information task. This client is in tax prep, but I don't have it on mine just yet. Okay, so let's go back to the job card. It is in tax prep. Okay, great. I'm going to do the tax prep on this client. I've created a 1099 demo payee. It's completed. Save. Great. Now I'm going to demonstrate how we get things from Lacerte or from other platforms into TaxDome. The same way we did a Smart Vault. Choose whatever copies I want to send. Choose my printer. I'm going to choose the TaxDome printer and print. And it's going to pop up this. And actually, what I might do is, let's say I wanted to do just a recipient copy separately, and I'm going to print that. Okay. And I'm going to choose the account. Yes, they're both the same account. File destination, client copies and tax return for both of them. Directory. Whatever I want to name it. And then for this one, I'm going to send it to prepare file copy, just for example. And I'm going to link it to the job. That way it's conveniently on the job card. I don't have to, but I'm going to upload files. Same thing from Lacerte, same thing from any platform. You just print to that hypothetical printer, which is text on. Okay, and so now I also want to do the 1096 for that particular client. Where copy is automatically going to TaxDome. Link to the 1099, sure. Don't have to, totally optional. All right, so now that I've got both of those in there, let's go over to, there's two different places to access that document. So in the Y drive, which is just a mirror of TaxDome, that client copies and tax returns. Did I put them both in 2024? So there they are, both of those. And also, I can access that by, oops, let's go to accounts. All right, I logged in. Let's go to this client. Their documents should also match. All right, so there's a 1096 and the 1099. Okay, great. So that looks like, I better put the other one in 2023, didn't I? Yep. So let's do this. I put that in 2023 and it needs to go to 2024. Let's move it to client copies and tax returns 2024. These are just dummy. Ignore these two. Okay, I just deleted 2 files that were in there from before. So let's preview that. Okay, now I think I finally got the right 2 forms in there. I've got the 1096. Okay, that's great. And I've got the 1099. I can preview it. Okay, great. Merge those. Whatever it wants to be. I don't want to do any of these client notifications yet. If I want to, I can link it to a certain job. I don't have to. Great. So that should be there. And so actually, I'm in the client copies. I should actually be in the internal working files. That should be my 2024 tax review. Okay, now I'm going to take these. I'm going to merge them. Tax review folder. Okay, so if I want to, now that I've made my review copy, I can take these 2 component files and delete them. I would also go to my client uploaded documents, grab this. Actually, I'm going to go over to my Windows Explorer drive. Internal work. Well, actually, I want to go to the client uploaded files because these are all now in the same place. Open that file. Save as. do whatever markups I need to do. You know, we'll have a new editor. Fox it will be the new editor, but okay, my work papers. And I can also, if I come back in here, go to my internal working files, 2024 tax review, my work papers. There's a primitive editor of sorts in here that you can use as well. Not as good, but whatever. All right, so I've got my tax prep is done. Got my work papers, got my review copy, do my markups, whatever I need to do. Okay, let's get back into the workflow space here. Let's go to Insights, Jobs. So that's this one. Okay, the tasks. Gather the necessary information was completed. Tax prep we just completed. Before we do that, let's go take a look at my insights. Again, I have no tasks related to this project. I've got other tasks, but none related to this project. And that should change. So mark this as completed as if I will. So tax prep is completed. Now let's go back and look at it in let's go to this pipelines view. Now you'll see that it's moved into the review phase. All right, now let's go to my insights. So this is me, not Will's insights. And you'll see that finally on my tasks, I should have a review right here. So these are just general to-dos. You can ignore those 16. But I have this review task that's for me to do. I can open up that task right here. But just open it up. Let's say I go in, review all the stuff, and I finished it. Review is complete. Okay. So now let's see where that thing lives. It is in the processing and assembly phase. So it's over with Chelsea currently. Let's go to tasks, filtered by Chelsea. You see that she has that task now. All right, so this is normally where we would start talking about processing, what it looks like. It's in the assembly phase. I've sort of, in some ways, shortcut the system because I've already assembled my review copy. When I went into these documents, client copies and tax returns 24, this, I've already put my 1096 and 1099s together. Here comes the debate of whether or not we should do a transmittal letter. If there was a letter, like for a 1040, we would compose it here and put all that together, which we normally take, put with the folder, go give to the reviewer or the signer to give a sign off on the routing sheet for that file. Well, given how basic 1099s are, we're going to experiment with the notion of that might not necessarily need a transmittal letter. That can just go in the body of the email. So everything that needs to be assembled is just this Form 1090, the review copy, or I'm sorry, the client copy. So going back to my workflow, the transmittal letter and assembly has been prepared, so if we were typing a full transmittal letter, that would be the task here. Being the one's not needed, we're going to say that process is completed. Great. Now you'll see that if I go to my Insights dashboard, I should have now a task related to that delivery sign off. Okay, so now I have this task called delivery sign off. I'm going to click on it. to get the items I need, I'm just going to go into the job card itself. Okay, great. And the documents. Okay, in the background, I just renamed that client copy. So I'm going to go look at this. All of it looks good. If there's a transmittal letter, here's what I would be signing off on. Okay, great. That looks good. And so now we've completed all of these tasks. Completed. All right, so save and exit that. Now let's look and see. This is the job card. Let's see what the task is. Deliver project and tax return. Project or tax return. So click on that. All right. So choose one of the three, either paper delivery. Let's get it assembled and put together for paper delivery or in-person delivery. Number 2 is electronic delivery, which is where we would send it by email. Auto delivery verification, that's a future thing, possibly, but we won't worry about that right now. I've linked a wiki article here, and this is giving us detailed instructions on how to do this. Again, we're under the premise that for a 1099, perhaps a transmittal letter isn't needed, just a client email. So this document just explains the same thing I'm going to walk through here. So what we're going to do is, if we're on this job card, new, actually I'm going to go to the client, new, email. It should pre-fill some things. And there's a template called 1099 project delivery. It did not pre-fill the client. All right. So do not touch any of these items that you see in the brackets. They're called short codes. It's going to pre-fill with that client salutation, the tax year for which the project's being completed, the client entity for which this return is being done, the tax year, which would have been last year, the due date, which is January 31st of this year. You can modify this as needed for any custom information. Just don't go in and start trying to override any of these unless there's some kind of reason why you need to. You can add to this whatever we need to do. But just know those short codes, they're not typos. They're supposed to be there. We're going to attach a file from TaxStone. It's really important that we choose from TaxStone, Client Copies and Tax Returns 2024, that one. And whenever we do this, so we chose the 2. In this field, you notice we don't have contacts or people. That's a really important distinction. This is an account or client. Jason Pettigo CPA is essentially a business. It's an entity. This email might be going to one person or more than one person. One of the really important factors here is if you go to that account, if I go to info and see these people, anybody with the notify toggle turned on is going to receive it. Again, I'm not sending it to John and Susie and Bob and Tim, specific people. I'm sending it to this company. Who are the people? It could be one or more than one person for which they have this notify toggle turned on. So if I'm looking at this client and say, this person right here, they don't need to get the stuff. I want them to be able to have portal access. I want their emails to come in and sync with my Inbox Plus, but I don't want them to get an email when I email the company, not them personally, but the company. Only this person. All right. So when we do it this way, the reason it's so important to use this template, not only does it fill all of this information out, but it also pre-fills all the recipients, one or more recipients who are to receive it. And when you attach it this way, it doesn't really send it as an attachment per se, meaning it's unsecured. It sends it as a link. So no one can access this unless they have portal access. This is totally different than just going to uh, Outlook, new email, and an attachment from file and choose whatever those things are. That attachment is going to live in that person's inbox forever. There's no login required. That's a true attachment. When we're sending it as an attachment here, it is just sending it as a link and it's completely secure. We typically don't send documents to clients as attachments with social security numbers and stuff that are unsecured. So this is a way to work around that. So I'm going to go ahead and send it. Great. So now I'm here in my Gmail inbox. This is where I sent the client request from before for that 1099. That's an old email. So these things take a while to go through, but I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like from my outbox. You'll see that it, instead of there being an actual attachment to the email, there's not an attachment. There's just a link to the file. If someone clicks on that file, they have to log in to be able to see it. So the file isn't in their inbox. It's not taking up a bunch of space. It's just a link to where the client can access it if they log in. Much more secure and compliant with our internet privacy policy. And so if the client goes in to their folders, they'll be able to see it, and it looks like this. So login required. And they receive this email. We completed the 2024 blah, blah, blah. And it pre-filled all those deadlines and dates and client salutation, the client name, tax year 2024, all that stuff. And so this is the email they'll get in lieu of a transmittal letter. We're just putting the same information in the body of the email anyway. So maybe this will work. All right, let's get back into our workflow space here. Make sure everything is. And so the delivery phase is done. Deliver tax return completed. And now it's probably going to move over to the e-file acceptance. We haven't really built that out necessarily just yet, but we'll get there. So just know that I'll repeat, if you want to send a 1099, this is only applying to 1099s right now. I typically go to the account, and if I wanted to pre-fill it, if I click new email, it pre-fills it with those two users. When I go from a template, change it to a template, which is choose the 1099 project delivery for the current year template. It fills all of this stuff out. We want to go attach file from TaxDome, wherever I have the file saved. 2024 client copy tax return done. Send. It's going to end up looking like it's going to end up looking like this. So that should really streamline things and make it where we don't have to necessarily do a letter.